Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Asija. He is an entrepreneur, spent the past 8 years building a seven-figure business through nearly 700 land deals, as he says. So we'll understand about those land deals. We'll dissect the timeless lessons from high value transactions, why goodwill and irresistible offers drive real growth, how to make outcomes feel fast and low risk for customers, and the four essential offers every business needs, and why most use only one. Welcome to the show, Abhi.
Thank you, Ajay. As I was sharing in the pre-show, I have high respect for you, Ajay, because you have done so many podcasts, so many episodes. It is very rare to see someone do 2,500 plus. It is a commitment, and I highly value the kind of consistency you have shown, and we kind of like learned from you on our channel. We started doing daily lives, and one of the inspirations was you, because we have seen so much success that comes with the amount of volume that you have put out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind words, Abhi. But I'm ready to change it from 2,500 shows to 700 land deals, and I will
All
become
right, let's
rich
get
like
into
you.
it. Let's get into it.
So, so there is so much to talk about, and we'll talk about. So, for the audience, we'll be talking a lot about scaling with offers and speed, all the things that we said in the introduction. But before that, let's understand a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows better who they are listening to.
Right. I grew up in Delhi, and I came to the U.S. to do my masters. So I came here in 2007, and I did my masters, and then I got a 9 to 5 job, just like pretty much every student, international student that comes here. And then after working for 10 plus years, I was like burnt out, and I wanted to do something of my own. So my wife and I started looking at real estate strategies. And the problem with one of the biggest problems we saw in getting into real estate is that you need a huge amount of capital. Like if you want to buy and sell houses or buy and sell apartment buildings, you need like hundreds and thousands of dollars. And we were just not comfortable with that kind of debt. You have to go to banks. I mean, it's not hard to get debt. It's just that it's a risk, and we were just not comfortable. And then we stumbled upon land. You can buy like small parcels of land in like west coast of the United States, like Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, for like 3,000, 4,000, $5,000, and then you can like sell them like on owner financing, and sometimes even on cash for like 2x or 3x the amount. Especially I mean, you could do that, but you also have to like add some value. You might have to clear the lot, you might have to you have to market it properly, you have to take a lot of photos, a lot of drone shots. So as long as you market it properly and tell a story around that lot, you can sell it for like 2 3 4x profit. So that's the strategy we stumbled upon. And the thing that we liked about this strategy is that you don't need debt, right? Because you can buy it for like few $1,000s, so you don't need a lot of cash. So that's the reason why we liked it. So we started with like few parcels. We listed it on. We didn't have a website or anything, so we just listed it on eBay, and we were able to sell them like in few months. And we're like, wow. So we confirmed the proof of concept, and we're like, all right. So now we know how to buy and sell these parcels, but how do we scale it? Like, how do we scale it to the point that we can actually replace our salaries, or like 9 to 5 salaries, so we can do this full time? So that's how we got started. And then we got into like scaling strategies. There were like a lot of mistakes made, and a lot of things went wrong over the years. And but then we learned. We hired mentors to teach us how to scale a business properly. And then finally, after like years and years of struggling, we finally broke through. And then I think it was 2020 where we crossed $1 million in revenue. And now we're 2025, so we have done more than 700 deals now. That means we have bought more than 700 parcels and sold more than 700 parcels. And at the current moment, we have like 120 plus parcels available for sale. So at a given time, we have around like 120, 130 parcels for sale. So we should be crossing 1,000 mark maybe in a year or so.
Right, Abhi. Right, Abhi. So, a lot of people will say one can do a lot of work at the same time, lots and lots of deals, lots and lots of deals. How should they understand that lots of deals and lots of smart deals? How does that work on the ground, Abhi? Because
Ye-
some people will think I'll get burnt out. I don't have that capacity. Here,
Yeah.
to help us understand from the lessons from those 700 plus land deals.
Right. So you make a good point where, I mean, as you have seen as well in the podcasting industry, there's so many people who start a podcast, but then they, after like 20 shows, 30 shows, they give up. And the reason for that is, as you correctly pointed out, when you do volume, if you don't love it, you tend to burn out, right? The only reason you will not burn out is if you truly enjoy the process. A lot of people come into the land investing business. We, like, I have a mentorship I teach, so I do a lot of phone calls, orientation, like the initial phone calls with people. They're like, oh, we want to replicate the success that you guys have. And I talk to them, and I tell them, well, you'll have to do this over and over again, right? And then they will start, and then after like 20 deals, they'll be like, oh, this is like same thing over and over again, right? And then they're like, oh yeah, I need something exciting. And then they jump from one strategy to another strategy. Then they're flipping houses, then they're doing Airbnbs, then they're doing like multifamily, then they're doing trading crypto, right? So they just keep jumping, hoping that the next opportunity would be simpler or easier or more exciting. But I mean, as you know, from your experience, that it comes down to enjoying the process, not necessarily the outcome, right? So once you start enjoying the process and you're like continuously improving, just like with your shows, you're continuously thinking of like, how do I make it better? How do I use different angles? What kind of software I can use that can make this experience better for the customer, for the clients, and for the viewers, right? So if the focus is not on the process, like continuously improving it, then people tend to burn out. So the secret is to fall in love with the process of what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, no matter what business you are doing, the fundamentals, like if you're doing a podcasting business, if you're doing a land business, or if you're doing, say, you're selling some kind of a software or widget, the fundamentals remain the same, right? You have to have customer acquisition, you have to find ways to acquire customers, you have to market, you have to do sales, you have to do the back end engineering, like the operationalizing. You need to have like some kind of technology infrastructure, right? So those departments in the business remain the same, but the only thing that changes is essentially like the improvement of the process. So if you're not focused on the process, you'll get burnt out, and you'll just keep moving from one strategy to another.
Absolutely, Abhi. So, in your case, as I asked, what's the reason for your success? Because once you do volume, and you also talk about goodwill, and you also
Yes.
talk about offers and
Yes.
for offers. So,
Yes.
if you do volume and if you give offers, how do you continue to maintain or enhance your goodwill, your quality of service when you are neck deep in so many, in the volume? How do you
Right.
manage to do that? How do you differentiate yourself from others? Because volume is something that others can also replicate.
Exactly. That's a very good point. So so before we go deep into the volume, I just wanted to. So this is a recent book that I just published. It's called The Land Business, and the first chapter I talk about the amount of money a business makes is equal to the amount of goodwill or trust you have in the marketplace multiplied by the number of offers you make. So what does this mean? Like it's hard to understand for like someone who is not part of the business, or like who's not an entrepreneur. So let me break it down what it means, right? So so if you're starting a business, you need some level of goodwill or trust, right? So now that goodwill or trust, like from your experience, Ajay, right? How do you build goodwill? Like you have done like so many, you show up pretty much every day. You're showing up, right? So people trust you, right? If Ajay says, "Oh, I will be there tomorrow at 8 a.m. doing live," people know for 100% certainty Ajay will be there, right? So that's goodwill because you have built so much history and so much proof that people know. People will be like, if Ajay is like, "Oh, I have a good investment," they will know, "Oh, Ajay, I have trusted him. I know he's not going to disappear at night." So they you build so much goodwill that people trust you, right? So that's one component. Or when you're trying to make money in business, you need a good amount of goodwill to make a substantial amount of money. So that's one. The second item is number of offers. So what does that mean? So if Ajay shows up every day and he builds this massive goodwill, but he never sells anything, he never says to the audience, "Oh, I have this book, or I have this service, check it out." Then having that huge amount of goodwill is, you're not monetizing it. I mean, it's not. So there's like a levels of monetization. It's not like Ajay is going to come every day and try to sell something, but but you need something, right? You need some offers. So how you make those offers is like a completely different episode, but you need offers to monetize the goodwill that you have created, right? So that's the formula. The amount of money you make is the amount of goodwill you have created in the marketplace multiplied by the number of offers you make to those customers. Now, the number of offers is not necessarily the same offer over and over again, is the like different offers, right? So there are four kinds of offers that you can make, but that's the like the high level gist. So, for example, so if say Ajay has a podcasting business where he makes money through podcasting, right? I know a lot of the podcasting that you're doing is more for relationship building and more like from a journalism aspect. But what if, we have this product, like say we did a partnership and we came up with this podcasting product where the whole purpose is to build goodwill, but also to monetize. So we turn it into a business, right? So we'll have to come up with offers. So it's not necessarily just one offer, but it will be like four different kinds. So there are four different kinds of offers. So first is the attraction offer, which means that we need some kind of a juicy or like a banger offer that people are excited. People like, "Oh wow, this is a good offer." So for example, if Ajay goes to the marketplace and says, I mean, it's a hypothetical once again. So if Ajay says, "I will ensure that if you come to my podcast, I will guarantee that 100,000 people will listen to it." Right? Now that's a crazy offer. That's like a banger offer. People will be like, and you say on top of that, "And I will do it for free." Right? Now that's such a good offer. People will be like banging on your door trying to like, "Ajay, I want that offer. Please," you'll have a line, right? So you need some kind of attractive offer. Now that was an extreme. Why would you do that, right? You're not going to do that. So it'll be like some kind of a realistic version where we're like, "Well, I will charge X amount of dollars for you to make sure that 100,000 people watch my, will listen to the podcast episode if you do it with me," right? So that's like an attraction offer. So that's number one. So the second kind is an upsell offer. So if someone takes that offer, right, people were like, "Oh, that's a crazy offer, I'm going to take it," and they do the show, they love it, right? They get a lot of business from the exposure you brought them. And then you can make an upsell offer, as in, like, all right, so you'll be like, John, I brought you 100,000 audience, right? You loved it. I loved it. I loved doing the show with you. How about I have a one-on-one offer with you where I will introduce you to my wealthy friends. Like, I'm just making this up, right? So I will introduce you to 5 of my wealthy friends who will love to invest in your business, and I'm going to charge X amount for it, right? So we're doing an upsell offer. So that's the second kind of offer, right? Because that you can help this business, and the business knows, if John knows that he can get access to Ajay's wealthy friends, his business will grow. So everyone wins, and the business partners that you're bringing in, they will get investment. Their investment will grow over time as part of investing in John's business, right? So everyone wins, right? So another banger offer, but it's an upsell to the attraction offer. Now the third offer is downsell offer. If John says, "Oh, well, it's a really good offer, but I can't really afford right now," or whatever the reason, or I don't have time for this, or whatever the reason may be, then you can make a smaller offer. Downsell is essentially when someone says no to upsell. You say, "Well, all right, well, you can do this, but maybe I can publish you. I have a book coming out, and I can make sure I can give you dedicated space in my book as a guest editor or guest contributor to it." So that's a downsell offer. And the fourth kind is continuity offer. So the continuity offer is when Ajay says, "Well, so we did this, we did the attraction offer, you loved it. We did the upsell offer, your business grew, you loved it, I loved it, business partners loved it, and now I have a continuity offer for you. So what if I have this membership program or a mentorship program where we meet once a month, we discuss strategies, there are other leaders in the organization, and we come up with, like, what's working in the marketplace, what's not working in the marketplace, right? And so that's kind of like a continuity offer where people pay you monthly or annually or quarterly, so you have a revenue coming in. So you're not always hustling and trying to get new clients, but you have, like, some kind of a membership where the business is sustaining itself. So those are the four kind of offers that every business should be utilizing to maximize their revenue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Attraction offer, upsell offer, downsell offer, and continuity offer, Abhi. In
Yes.
land, in the land business, how does that work? Give some insight for that. People who would be listening to you, realtors, investors, all those guys, they would be interested in my business, which is much more of a journalism sort of a thing, but they
Right.
would want to understand the land business, the
Right.
secrets of your success.
Yes. Ajay, thanks for bringing the ship back in the direction where it should be going. But I will explain why I was using the journalism example, and I did it on purpose, because the point of these principles are that they're timeless, and they are not business specific. They can be applied to any business. And that's the reason why you could literally take any business, and we can brainstorm and come up with offers that fit in all those four categories. Now, when it comes to land, so attraction offer on a land would be, say you have this land. We talked about buying parcels in Nevada, in Arizona for, like, say $4,000, and selling them for, like, say $10,000. So an attraction offer there would be, you can buy this land for $500 down, $500 per month. Right now, pretty much everyone can afford that. So it's like a banger, or like a very attractive offer. So that would be one example. Another example would be, like, we do, like, free land giveaways every year. We'll be like, well, if you participate, join our mailing list. We'll do lives, just like we're doing live right now. So we'll be like, well, we'll do the live drawing on the YouTube channel, and we'll pick one person, and they'll win the property. So that generates market buzz. So that's an example of an attraction offer. Upsell offer, example of an upsell offer would be, so if someone buys land, um, they bought one parcel in Arizona, and maybe we have like a neighboring parcel available, or like one nearby, so we can upsell them into a second parcel. We'll be like, well, you bought this, you bought a 5-acre property, we also have a 10-acre available. Would you like to upgrade, or would you like another parcel? So that would be an example of upsell offer. Downsell offer would be if they say no to it. So if they say, oh no, I can't really afford a 10-acre parcel, 5-acre is fine. So then we can downsell them into, well, we also have a 1-acre parcel, which is much cheaper, right? So that would be example of downsell. Continuity offer would be like some kind of membership. So we'll be like, well, would you like to join our land freedom land club, where we get like special deals every month, and you'll get some sort of discount if you are a member, and you'll also like get member perks, you'll get membership points, you'll get invited to our events, for like a reduced price and all those things, right? So if you're a member, you get exclusive member benefits. So that will be an example for continuity offer in the land business.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is very helpful, and I'm sure a lot of these two examples will can be implemented in a lot of businesses. Abhi, I'm
Exactly.
sure. Now, to come and understand this, the speed part of it, and you talk about that speed beats persuasion in sales. I thought people talk about building relationship in sales and networking in sales, the right kind of networking. You talk about speed. Help
Yes.
us understand your
Yeah.
kind of speed that you want to people to understand.
Right. So speed. So this is very specific to sales. So it's more of a sales philosophy as opposed to like a overall business philosophy. So what I mean by speed beats persuasion is, in when you take any sort of sales training, a lot of the training is geared towards, oh, this you're supposed to say this, your script is supposed to do this is how you're supposed to do objection handling. If they say, oh, I don't have the money, how do you handle that objection? If they say, oh, I don't have the time, how do you handle that? Or say, oh, I don't know, I need to check with my wife, how do you handle that objection, right? So a lot of the sales training that I came across was dealing with say like very like persuasion related uh, uh, problems in sales. And in practice, in my own business, what I realized is that speed is more important than persuasion, which means that if if a lead comes in, if someone, so say you have a listing, property listing, and someone submits the button, say, oh, I would like to request more information, or I would like to see this land, or I want to buy this. Now, if you don't respond to that lead within less than 60 seconds, you lost like 80% of the chance to convert them. Because usually when people are buying land, they don't just click, I want more information on one listing. They go, say, I want more information, I want more information, I want more info, like 20 different listings. They will go and press that button. So if you don't respond within a minute, right? Obviously during business hours, off hours, we there are multiple ways to do that as well, but keeping it simple, at least in the business hours, you don't respond within 60 seconds, you're losing a high likelihood that you'll be able to convert that prospect. So that's what we saw. And once we had to hire like bunch of extra people just to meet this metric, because it's hard, because we get like tons and tons of leads every day, and responding to every lead within 60 seconds, it is hard. But once you accomplish it, you will see the conversion rate dramatically improves.
Absolutely. Coming back to the volume part itself, you talk about volume as well as luck. So the more volume we do, the we remove luck more out of the equation, and your success becomes very much confirmed. Help us understand much better in terms of any business.
Right. So okay, so let's go back to the podcasting example, right? I know I'm coming back to it because it's all universal. So I'm sure, as when you first started doing podcasting, you ran into issues, like maybe it was technical issues, maybe you didn't know how to get the proper lighting, maybe you don't know, oh, there was echo issues, you know. Maybe it was like, oh, you didn't really know what kind of messages to send to your guests to make sure they join on time, and like the education part, you know, they have to educate. Oh, you must do this, you have to like define, you know how you send steps. Oh, you must join this, then you send me an email. Oh, you must confirm that you're going to be joining, like all those things, right? That did not was not there on day one, right? It only became a solid process because you did volume, right? And then you saw, oh, wait a second, that guest didn't join. I told him to join at 8 a.m. He didn't show up. Why didn't he show up? How do I fix that problem? Oh, okay. So maybe if I send them a reminder, that will increase the chance that they show up on time, right? So, or oh, I did this live stream, and when I watched the recorded version, the audio levels were off. Like, how do I fix that, right? So all these kinks in the process, you know, they get ironed out as you do more and more volume, right? So that's the podcasting example. So now bringing it back to land. So how does volume help in land? So if you buy a parcel of land, so we had like one guy who started, like not in my group but in a separate group, he was talking about, I was listening to his story. He started and he bought this parcel of land, and he sold it for like, and he bought it like an expensive, he brought in outside financing, he bought it for like $150,000 for one piece of land, and he sold it for like 250, and he made $100,000 on his first deal. And and then he quit his job. He's like, well, I'm not even making 100,000 a year, and so I'm gonna do land full time. And then he did it for like a couple of years, and the by the end of the second year, his bank balance was less than 20K. And he didn't realize that he got lucky. The first deal, he just got lucky because it was a hot market. And and he started flipping more and more, but he didn't realize that the amount of capital it requires and the returns are usually not that fast, and it takes time, right? You have to build processes, you have to build systems, just like podcasting. You have to do a lot of repetition to iron out all the kinks, and he did not iron out all the kinks, and he just got lucky, and then he got like demoralized that, oh, maybe it doesn't work, this and that, right? So the point is, like, if when you do a lot of volume, you kind of like remove luck as a variable, because even if one or two deals don't work, you start looking at like one or two, and you start looking at the average. Oh, this month I did 20 deals. Out of 20, maybe 5 of them were like average, 5 of them did really well, and then the rest were like, a little bit above average, right? So you start looking at like trends, as opposed to, oh, I did one deal this month and it flopped or it went up, right? So you remove luck as a variable when you do a lot of volume.
Absolutely. Let's understand it this way. You talk about availability and you talk about it being quietly becoming a competitive advantage. Help us understand that. I thought people nowadays talk about, high ticket offers become scarce. The more scarce you are in anything that you do, you know, you will create better pricing for yourself. How does
Hmm.
this availability part work vis-a-vis the same sort of thinking? How does one calibrate their strategies in a market as of today?
Right. So when I was talking about availability, it was more about availability in terms of talking to leads and customers. So a lot of time, as you correctly pointed out, there was a very sharp observation, Ajay. Um, the lot of like people in the sales training, they would be like, well, when a lead tries to book on your calendar, make sure you don't have a lot of spots open, because then it will look like that you have a lot of time, right? and
Right.
and that's that's actually counterintuitive, because your goal as a business owner is to make your customers or your leads life as simple as possible. So if a lead is working like a night shift, right, and they're only available at like certain times, and you don't have any availability, you're losing their business. So if you can make your calendar available, now it doesn't have to be Ajay's calendar. It can be Ajay's executive assistant's calendar, who they talk to first, right? So as long as the leads or your prospects have have the option to book a call with you, or book a consultation with you at their schedule, that increased availability leads to increased conversions, which is like completely counterintuitive from the advice you hear in the sales training. Because most people are like, oh, yeah, 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 just keep it just one or two slots open so it looks like you're busy, right? So that's one aspect. And the second aspect of availability is a lot of people will be like, oh, I am available at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., or 5 p.m., right? Now, what if your customer is like on his break, right? He has like a blue collar job, and then he only gets like 30-minute breaks, right? And or 15-minute breaks, and he's available at 2:15. Your calendar is not open at 2:15. You have it at 2, you have 3, you have 4. So another aspect is to open 15-minute increments. So you increase the availability, right? So think about, like, if you have 1 hour available, like every 1 hour, and you split it into every 15 minutes, that's 4x the amount of availability on the calendar on one day. So once we implemented the this change, we made it like heavily available. We also made it like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So you can book on our calendar from like all day, 15-minute slots. That's a lot of slots, a lot of slots. So we try to capture like as big of a net as possible in the sea, right? So to catch as much fish as you can, as opposed to saying, oh, I'm only available like 3 times a day. So that's what I meant
Absolutely.
by availability
Absolutely.
being a competitive advantage.
Absolutely, Abhi. So, in a nutshell, what would you like to share with entrepreneurs, with people in business and everywhere, in terms of your lessons, how they can implement in theirs? In a nutshell, how would you like to?
Right. So in a nutshell, I would say, goes back to the, and I would say that, they're like, I started the book that I just released. The first version, first edition, was like 10 principles. And then after it was released, and I gave it to my friends and family to read it, and they were like, oh, what about this? What about this? Oh, you didn't talk about this, you didn't talk about that. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right, I should have added that. So now I kept on adding, so I did the second version and the third version of the book, and now that 10 principles turned into 17 principles, right? But the core message of the whole thing, it comes down to, a very basic level, comes down to the amount of money that your business will make will be the amount of goodwill you create in the marketplace and the number of offers you make, right? And then comes down to, like, how do you create the goodwill, and how do you come up with like different types of offers that are also banger, right? They're also very attractive. And the way you create goodwill is by always thinking of the customer first. So you produce content, you produce free content. Even if when you're doing paid ads, you have to give value first. You give before you ask, right? So that's like the primary principle in terms of goodwill. So if you have a business, no matter what the business is, you're just like, you always put your guests first and try to extract their story. um you're running a land business, you always think of your customers and how you can help them, like how you can educate them, how you can help them make better decisions. So that would, like, the biggest part of being successful in a business is to improve goodwill. Always keep first customers first, just like Amazon. It's like very obsessive with their customer experiences and always thinking about them. And the other component is offers. Like, how do you come up with creative, attractive banger offers that people, they're attracted towards, they love it, they want to do more business with Ajay because Ajay has this crazy offer that no one says no to, no one can say no to. Like, if you literally came up with that offer, I'm going to guarantee 100,000 people will see this episode. Like, people will be like, feel stupid saying no to that offer because it's so good, right? So how do you come up with offers like that? And then if you can solve these two variables, it's no one can stop you from like scaling, like your business from skyrocketing. Now obviously there'll be like other things, that I dive deep into, like how do you find the constraint of the business and all those things, but we're out of scope for this discussion, but it is in the book. If you guys want to check it out.
Absolutely, Abhi. And there is so much to learn about all this from you and also from your book. And so a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you about the way you do business, also the things that you have written in your book. People can learn from that. What's the best way for them to do so?
Right. So I have a website. It's called honestwealthbuilders.com. Um, it starts with a free strategy call that you can book directly with me. So if someone wants to learn more about the land business or just chat in general, maybe talk about some ideas I can help with their business, please feel free to book a call. So it's honestwealthbuilders.com. And my book is called The Land Business, which is available on Amazon, like starting, I think, few days ago.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Ajay. I really appreciate it.